Marigold Shen adjusted her cat eye glasses, tucked a lock of hair back into the tight bun she wore like a shuriken, and stared at the glowing spreadsheet on the circulation desk. The column labeled Overdue glared at her. 57 items, all long past the grace period. Tonight, the city's Department of Literary Accountability would swoop in for a surprise audit. If they saw that list, they'd slash the Parkside Public Library's budget so deep the history section would have to be printed on Post-its. Mrs. Gutierrez, the branch manager, leaned over. Marigold, I don't suppose you could, deal with these, she whispered, pointing at the spreadsheet as if it might explode. Marigold's pupils narrowed like retracting doorstops. The stealth initiative? Exactly, dear. Mrs. Gutierrez glanced around and dropped her voice another octave. You're our last hope. The audit team arrives at dawn. Marigold exhaled slowly. The ordinary librarian in her felt mild disappointment at the faithlessness of patrons. The ninja in her welcomed the challenge. She pressed a hidden latch beneath the desk. A panel slid aside, revealing a black messenger bag. The reinforced silence please, dash, and an arsenal of office supply-based weaponry. Stapler, chakrams, a roll of barcode tape braided like garrote wire, and the pierre de resistance, her telescoping book stamp which doubled as a book staff. Above all lay her trusty companion Dewey, the self-propelled book cart whose wheels cooed like well-oiled whispers. She patted its metal side. We ride at sundown. Dewey flashed a green LED that, in library Morse code, meant Roger. Target 1, Todd Griffin, barista. 231 days overdue. Title, Espresso Yourself, The Uncaffeinated Manifesto. Coffee Collective, 8:17 p.m. The bustle of grinders and jazz drowned most sounds, but Marigold's soft-soled Oxfords made no sound at all. She employed the Dewey drift, rolling the cart low behind the espresso machine while she executed a perfect shelving slide under a counter, popping up like a toast pastry beside the pastry case. Todd, decked in mustache wax and latte art tattoos, barely looked her way. She flicked a stapler chakram. It severed the steam wand's cloth so subtly that it fell in slow motion. Todd yelped, diverting every eye in the shop. Meanwhile, Marigold slipped upstairs to his locker, guided by her circulation sense, the faint tug of a magnetic strip in an unscanned book. Sure enough, wedged between a bag of single-organ beans and a cassette labeled Todd's mind-blowing poetry, lay the manifesto dog-eared and coffee-stained. She spritzed a restoration mist of diluted vinegar and wiped the cover, then replaced it with the decoy, cold brew for hotheads, a pamphlet the library kept swapping out of little free libraries. Todd would never know. Back downstairs, she pressed a chalky paper star against the tip jar, her calling card, the reserve slip of doom. Then vanished into the night with Dewey tailing like a well-trained Labrador. Dewey tealing like a well-trained Labrador. Target 2. Crystal Vaughn, influencer, 128 days overdue. Title, Mirrors Me and More Me. A penthouse soiree glittered above downtown like a sequin on the skyline. Marigold clung to the outside of an elevator shaft, scaling cables while Dewey suction-cupped along behind her, a vacuum attachment hissing softly. Music blared Selfie Queen on loop. Inside, ring lights cast halos over clusters of people who believe vows were optional. Crystal posed before a mural of herself posing before a previous mural. The autobiography 9 by 12 inches of high-gloss narcissism balanced on her head as she practiced book fluency. Marigold infiltrated via the hors d'oeuvres table, camouflaging herself in a tower of canapé trays. At the crescendo of a flashbulb burst, she rolled under Crystal's ring light, swapped the overdue book for a copy of Reflective Surfaces, a symmetry coloring book, and even autographed it Stay Dazzling C. Crystal tilted her head, felt the substitution, and squealed, "Limited edition! I love it!" Marigold bowed out a balcony door. She and Dewey repelled past startled pigeons, the reclaimed book tucked against her chest like a precious first edition of How to Exit Parties Gracefully. Target 3. Finbar the Fantastic, Street Magician, 309 days overdue. Title, Sleight of Hand and Sight of Ham. The midnight subway platform reverberated with Finbar's patter. Card decks flicked, coins vanished, and rubber chickens manifested to roars of laughter. Marigold merged with the crowd, assessing. The Overdue tome was rumored to be hidden in his mystery top hat compartment Finbar kept padlocked between tricks. She signaled Dewey to stage left. On cue, the cart's speakers emitted the faint beep of a transit alert. "Attention passengers, the next train will skip this station." The crowd groaned in unison, rotating 30 degrees, just enough for Marigold to slip behind Finbar. She produced her telescoping book stamp, spinning it into vanish mode, and tapped his hat. "Free inspection from the Department of Wonder Compliance," she whispered. Finbar, who adored bureaucracy about as much as he loved healthy food, froze. Is that a thing?" "It is if you believe." She sprayed him with a puff of confetti of credibility, basically punched hole scraps from the children's craft room. He blinked. While he processed, she unclipped the hat, extracted sleight of hand and sight of ham, and replaced it with the much less dangerous origami for dogs. The hat went back, Finbar returned to his trick, and a dachshund made of paper delighted the masses. She offered him a wink their ancestors could have seen, then dissolved into the arriving train like a phrase on disappearing ink. By 1 a.m., 7 high-risk retrievals lay completed. Dewey's platform was piled waist-high with reclaimed volumes, from a graphic novel left in a yoga studio's lost and found to Middlemarch balancing on a dentist's fish tank. But the list still showed one crimson line. Veronica Lawton, corporate attorney. Overdue, 731 days. Book, How to Negotiate with Your Inner Child, replacement cost. Priceless because the last known copy in the system belonged to Veronica. Mrs. Gutierrez's panic voice crackled through Marigold's earpiece. "We can't fail this one, honey. The auditors obsess over rare self-help." "Understood," Marigold said, scanning the skyline. The Lawton and Clausen building towered ahead, an obsidian monolith whose windows looked like closed books turned spine in. "I'm going in." Inside the lobby stood 24-hour guards, a security scanner, and a lobby fountain designed to drown out hushed conspiracies, which made it perfect for whispering. Marigold stepped into a maintenance closet, swapped her cardigan for a charcoal blazer, and clipped a forged ID badge to her lapel. Verity Lawful, Junior Associate. The name was so boring no one would question it. Dewey hid in a rolling mail bin. Its wheels switched to hush mode. They passed the scanner. The guard barely glanced up from a Sudoku. The law firm's 28th floor was lit only by the glow of aquarium lights in the reception area. Marigold tiptoed by, immune to the judgment of neon fish. Veronica's office occupied the corner, a status cube lined with legal tomes, diplomas, and yes, children's finger paintings hung ironically between citations. But the coveted book was nowhere in sight. Marigold flicked on her UV penlight, tracing patterns in the air, searching for dust signatures on the shelves. Nothing matched the dimensions of a paperback. Her intuition tingled. A negotiator with her inner child would hide such a manual someplace private. The desk drawer? Empty except for stress balls shaped like gavels. The credenza? Half-eaten energy bars. "Think like the patron," Marigold muttered. She spotted a plush toy, a ragged bunny perched on a side table, its button eyes staring accusation. The toy was seated in a miniature timeout chair. She lifted the bunny. Underneath was a biometric safe the size of a lunchbox. Fingerprint only. No keypad. Marigold sighed. She carried a library card for every branch in the Tri-County area, but not Veronica's thumbprint. She did, however, carry a small bottle of liquid late fee, a viscous polymer used to lift latent prints from glossy covers. She dusted the bunny's button nose, pressed the polymer patch over it, peeled, and transferred the replicated whorl onto the skin. The safe clicked open. There lay How to Negotiate with Your Inner Child, its dust jacket festooned with neon sticky tabs like a porcupine at an office supply convention. She slid the book into Dewey's compartment. Mission accomplished. Until the office door snapped open. Veronica Lawton strode in, wearing running shoes with her pinstripe suit. A woman who never let comfort compromise intimidation. She froze. What are you doing with my bunny?" Marigold executed the ultimate librarian defense. She shushed. The single soft syllable sliced through Veronica's momentum like a guillotine made of marshmallows. Before the lawyer could recover, Marigold vaulted over the desk, kicked the light switch, plunging the room into darkness, and rolled Dewey out the door. Hallway alarms shrieked, security doors slammed shut. Dewey's LEDs spelled UOOHO. Contingency Plan M, Marigold whispered, breaking into a sprint. Dewey ejected 2 books from its top shelf, The Art of War and War and Peace, and shot them down the hall. They skittered like frictionless paving stones, wedging in the door tracks and delaying closure by precious seconds. They dove into a stairwell, pinballing down 30 flights to the lobby, where the sleepy guard had knocked over his Sudoku in panic. Glass doors were lowering in a lockdown. Marigold pulled her barcode tape garrote, looped it around the override lever, and yanked. The doors hesitated enough for her to roll Dewey under and slide after. Outside, rain began misting the city lights. Veronica's shouts echoed behind them. Marigold slipped into an alley, flattened against a brick wall, and slowed her breathing until even the rats couldn't hear it. Eventually, sirens dwindled. She checked her watch. 4:42 a.m. dawn, and the auditors were 2 subway stops away. The library's back entrance creaked open as she returned, damp, tired, victorious. Mrs. Gutierrez flitted around, counting books like a blackjack dealer on extra espresso. You did it! She spun, hugged Dewey, then thought better of it and patted its handle. Marigold handed her the final trophy. 1 inner child accounted for. They scanned each reclaimed book into the system. With every satisfying beep, the overdue column shrank. When they hit the last title, the spreadsheet turned a virtuous mint green. At 6:00 a.m. in sharp, the Department of Literary Accountability arrived, 2 stern auditors with clipboards rigid as dogma. They moved through the stacks, scanning barcodes, measuring shelf gaps with rulers, sniffing for mildew. Mrs. Gutierrez maintained pleasant vapidity. Marigold shelved books at warp speed yet looked casual, like someone leisurely alphabetizing chaos. The lead auditor stopped at the circulation desk. We note 0 outstanding items, Ms. Gutierrez. Unusual for a branch of this size. His eyebrow rose as though investigating its own mysterious overdue coup. We encourage prompt returns, Mrs. Gutierrez chirped. Our patrons respect the social contract. He scribbled approval. Budget sustained, well done. Only when the audit team departed did the staff exhale. Dewey waggled its front wheels in a silent cheer. Mrs. Gutierrez clasped Marigold's shoulders. You saved the collection, and my ulcer. Marigold smiled, but beneath the calm, her ninja soul buzzed with unfinished business. She opened a manila folder labeled Next Week. Inside were 3 fresh overdue notices. Patrons were infinitely inventive in procrastination, and books yearned endlessly to be home. She tightened her bun, straightened her badge, and whispered a promise to the whispering shelves. As long as due dates exist, the night shift is never over. That evening, Marigold conducted routine duties, reshelving, guiding tourists to the restroom, on your left, past travel and adventure, recommending cozy mysteries. A boy approached the desk dragging a wagon full of books. I found these on the subway, he said. They all have your library sticker. Marigold's eyes widened. Among the stack sat cold brew for hotheads, reflective surfaces, origami for dogs. And War and Peace, corners scuffed from its heroic door-jamming service. Her decoys had boomeranged back. She crouched to the boy's level. Thank you, citizen scholar. You've done important work. He beamed. Do I get a reward? She handed him a crisp library card application. Lifetime access to infinite universes. He accepted with the gravity of one handed a portal key. As he left, Dewey's LED spelled a question mark. She laughed. The circle of circulation, my friend. Dewey's wheels spelled Parade of Wackos, Personal Cubby. No return address, just a wax seal shaped like a briefcase. Inside, a thank you note typed on legal letterhead. Dear nameless shadow, I respect your skill. Consider the overdue matter settled. In return, please accept this gift: 1 year of pro bono legal counsel for the Parkside Public Library. Signed, Veronica Lawton. Marigold chuckled. Even hardened attorneys possessed inner children who loved closure. She opened a fresh tab on the library's public computer, drafting a new program: Stealth Literacy Workshops, teaching kids how to track missing words like ninjas. She envisioned a legion of mini librarians armed with bookmark boomerangs and hush-toned holsters, roaming the city for knowledge. After all, she mused, a library isn't just shelves and pages. It's a living organism that stretches through streets, cafes, courthouses, and subways, its veins pulsing with overdue possibilities. She glanced at Dewey. Ready for the next chapter? The cart's green LED blinked twice. Yes. Marigold Shen reclined in her swivel chair, fingers steepled, eyes hooded but twinkling. Somewhere outside this orderly sanctuary, a patron was sliding a hardcover under a couch cushion, telling themselves they'd return it tomorrow. She whispered into the hush, tomorrow belongs to me, and the city's shadows, ever so softly, rearranged themselves around the ninja librarian who safeguarded stories even from their owners, one stealthy rescue at a time.